Dear Ciara, I was wondering if you and David could help me. My girlfriend and I are in our early 30s and we've been together 5 years. And while we have talked about marriage in passing, I thought I'd made it clear that this wasn't something that was in my immediate plan, and she seemed okay with that. I do expect us to get engaged in the future, just not sure when. I took her away for New Year's Eve as a surprise Christmas present, and it seems she really thought I was going to pop the question, and so did her friends and all her family, and she was quiet for most of the trip. And then we had a massive row about it on the way home, and all her family were asking, did I propose? And that made it worse, and things are not great between us right now. In retrospect, I realised before we left that she was talking a lot about her sister getting engaged at Christmas 2 years ago and showing me photos on Instagram, etc. But I didn't really pay attention. She talks about her sister a lot. The truth is, I don't feel ready for marriage, and she is ready and so eager to get engaged. I don't think you should rush into these things, but I don't want to lose her either. What should I do? And that's signed A. David, what should A do?
That's a great question. But what strikes me about this is the fact that there's probably lots of people in the same situation who over the New Year's Eve thought they were going to get engaged and didn't. So I suspect A isn't alone in this regard. It's a difficult one. I do think a lot of people have expectations around engagements because they're with each other a certain amount of time, and they don't actually know what marriage involves, because you can't really know what marriage involves until you're actually in it. And I think people like the idea of an engagement, and they love the idea of a wedding more than they like the idea of a marriage, because they're two totally separate things. So when I'm working with couples, I do pre-marriage courses with people as well, and many people struggle to come up with the answer as to, when I ask them, why are you getting married? They say things like, well, it's the next step, or it's the thing we should do, or our family expect us to do it. At which point I counter and say, well, there are not really good reasons to get married, because you're basically spending the rest of your life with one individual, and you should do it because you really, really want to, and you want the benefits that legally marriage is going to bring to the relationship. And there's a certain set of things that happen once you get married. So I think A needs to stand his ground here a little bit. And if he doesn't want to get married, don't give in to the pressure because the family and friends are disappointed, because that's too easy. And that has happened to lots of other people as well. And it goes disastrously wrong usually.
Are there a significant number of people who get married because, as you say, we've been together 5 years, we are 32 or whatever age they are, and we're of an age, we're going out this length of time, and now marriage is the thing to do, as opposed to I actively really want to be married?
Well, I think so. I mean, from my experience of working with couples, I would have met thousands of couples over the years in groups, and you'd see a group of people and you'd be asking them, why are they getting married? And you see certain couples would be alive with sexual energy or lust or enthusiasm or just emotional energy or connection with each other, and they would stand out in a group. The vast majority of people would be here we are, like we're just getting married, and it was like as if they were on this kind of life cycle journey.
Like you go to all the 21st at the
Pretty
same time,
much.
and you go to all the
and
then you go to all the weddings.
Then you have a kid, and then you have christenings, and you have the next day, without actually even asking the question, why are we doing this? Do we really love each other enough to commit ourselves forever?
Are you actually saying there that people kind of settle? Truthfully,
it's not even about settling, but it's about blindly doing what society expects us to do without asking the question, is this right for me? And it's a huge question. Is it right for you? Is it right for you now? They're big questions.
My take on this was that A absolutely should not get married, because I don't believe anyone should get married if they don't want to, and I don't know why you would. And if you're being coerced into it or shoehorned into it in some way from pressure,
sure,
that's a bad foundation, I think, anyway. But is A being a bit foolish? He's sort of and a bit glib in that he is saying, I kind of thought maybe some stage we'll get married, and I'm happy enough as we are. But for women, the biological tick-tock is happening, and she's in her early 30s going, well, when are we going to get married? Because I wouldn't mind having a few sprogs, and if I'm not having them with you, I better get a move on with somebody else.
Yeah, and she has that right. And I think, if there might have been a little bit of naivety here as well, in terms of, if he's given the hint that, we will get engaged at some point, the justifiable question she might have then is, why can't we just do it now? What are we waiting for? Or what has to happen before you will know that it's the right time to get married? But that's something that's individual down to the listener. He just doesn't know when that's going to be. Something might click. It could be financial. It could be emotional maturity. It could be any number of things. But you can't force it either at the same time.
This is an interesting text. Pat has said he's been dating her for 5 years. A probably stands for asshat. He is a clown for stringing her along. Time for him to grow up and move on if he's not interested. I pity her. Is there a kind of point at which it is I don't know what you'd say, crap or get off the pot. Is there that's a terrible expression, but,
It is.
but you know what I mean? I couldn't think of a better one off the top of my head. But the point I'm making is if not now, then when? And if then, why not now? I don't think anyone should be pressurised into getting married, but they definitely should call it if he's never going to marry her, and she may want to get married and have kids and have that stage of life available to her.
No, that's a fair point, and I just think
He kind of wants his cake and to eat it. He kind of goes, no, I don't want to get married, but I don't want to lose her. Maybe
is that not okay though?
It probably is, except for if her thing is either get married or lose me, because they both have autonomy
and
here.
I think at this point she has to make that decision for the two of them. You know, if you're not prepared to marry me within this certain time frame, then it's over between us. But then that's a big thing. It's like, so were we ever? Did you ever love me for who I am, or just love the idea of marriage?
So, if she does say to him, do you know what? If you're not getting married, I'm going to move on. She may mean that, or it may just be a form of ultimatum. And if it is an ultimatum and he goes, okay, then we'll get married, that's a horrible basis for marriage too. Are they kind of now stuck between a rock and a hard place, this couple, and actually they're on the ropes?
You could suggest that. I mean, it's very challenging to try and roll back from it, because when you have that heartbreak of the expectations of somebody, you know, expecting an engagement ring and then it doesn't come through, it's very difficult to just be happy about other stuff. Then, we're going on holidays in a week's time. We're going away for a nice weekend in 3 months' time. Irrelevant compared to, well, I thought we were getting engaged, because that's the biggie for a lot of people.
It really is. Someone says, Ciara, my nephew was in a similar situation. They broke up but got back together, and then she gave him an ultimatum that they had to be engaged by a certain date. He asked, she said yes. 6 years later they have a 3-year-old and they sleep in separate rooms. Trapped. Oh God, Jesus, that's bleak. And someone says, is it normally any different to this person's email? I am married to my beautiful wife Lucy, and it's exactly the same as before marriage, other than the marginal tax benefit. I want to spend my life with her, and marriage just formalised it. I guess what Mark is saying there, he's saying, I don't see what the big deal is about getting married. If you're with somebody and you're happy, maybe some people never want to get married. And I kind of get that. I wasn't one of those people that kind of went, oh God, I couldn't wait to get married. I wasn't that girl at all. I kind of thought, marriage. I don't know. I ended up married for sure, but everyone has a different view on this. Someone else says, myself and my partner have been together for 6 years. I've always said I'd rather have a child first rather than getting married. We're now expecting our first child, and marriage is not a priority. In my case, honesty was the best policy, and that's from Declan.
There's a lot to be said for honesty now.
There is an awful lot to be said for honesty.
Even at the risk of breaking up a relationship, because a lot of people go along with things.
Are we not calling a spade here, that women are a bit more vulnerable for 2 reasons? One is they only have a length of time that they can have kids, and that's an issue for them. But 2 is Declan goes, oh yeah, I wanted my kids and then get married. But ultimately, if they split up, probably his girlfriend will be left holding the baby, and that creates a different set of life circumstances that if she had gotten married, she would have had more security. Are we negating the fact that women, maybe if they are becoming parents, want a bit of security?
The idea of security is something I challenge then, because there's plenty of men that can walk away and plenty of women that have walked away within marriage from their kids and from their partners and just left them high and dry. Yeah, so there's no guarantee of security
either. There's no guarantee. It's a miserable existence for all of us. Let's just be honest. Someone says, Ciara, you mentioned about that lad wanting his cake and eating it. What's the point in having cake if you can't eat it? The point is you want to have it and still eat it, but you still have it. Anyway. And someone else says she should propose to him. I'm not sure that she should, but I take your point. If she's the one wanting to get married, maybe she should. I'm afraid we are out of time. Thank you as ever, David. The unsolvable riddle of A and what he should do. He should think about it. That's what he should do. He should think about it long and hard. But